When I'm writing episodes of The Return, some of the episodes are kind of based on strategy, and some arrive as a story, and some arrive as something else entirely, something that doesn't ask permission before it lands. And this is one of those episodes. What you're about to hear is not planned, it was more impressed upon me. That quiet, persistent kind of knowing that doesn't go until you give it a voice. So I'm giving it a voice. For you, for me, for the part of us that has been moving so fast through the doing that we've forgotten the being underneath it. This episode is an invitation to slow down. Not forever, just for now. So come with me and listen to my story. Welcome to The Return. I'm Tammy Clair, founder of Thrive by Design Women, author, podcast host, and a woman who spent years giving everything to everyone else before she finally learned how to come back to herself. This podcast exists for women who are ready to do the same. Women who are brilliant at their work and quietly exhausted underneath it. Women who have climbed and achieved and shown up and still feel like something essential is missing. Women who are ready to stop just managing their life and start living in alignment with it. The Return isn't just a podcast. It's a philosophy, a practice, and a community. It's built on the belief that we are not broken, we are patterned. And patterns, when we understand them, can be changed. Each week, we explore the 4 dimensions of a whole life: the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual, because you are not just a career and you're not just a role. You're a whole woman, and you deserve to be tended to. Today's episode is a special one. There's no framework, no action steps, no resource guide. There is only this. Something I need to share and something I believe you may need to receive. So let's begin. There are certain practices that do not need to be seen by the world in order to be powerful, and prayer is one of them. Ceremony is another. And I have come to believe deeply, personally, through the kind of living that teaches you things you couldn't have learned any other way, that both are ways we strengthen the spiritual body. Let's talk about prayer. Prayer does not have to belong to one religion or tradition or one set of words. For some, prayer is speaking to God. For others, it's connecting with the Creator, the Spirit, the universe, the divine, or that quiet wisdom within. The name matters less than the connection we create with that highest source that I believe our spirits are connected to. Prayer is the moment we pause long enough to remember that we were not meant to carry everything alone. It's a time when we commit our spirit to something higher than our fear, higher than our exhaustion, higher than the old patterns that keep asking us to survive in ways that no longer serve us. And when we pray, we're not only asking for help for ourselves or others. We are nurturing a sacred connection. We are strengthening that part of ourself that still knows how to hope, love, forgive, surrender, and begin again. I think of prayer like a fine tuning a radio. When the station is full of static, the message, it can be hard to hear. But the more we return, the more we listen, the more we give our time and attention to that sacred connection, the more we adjust that channel, the clearer the signal becomes. If we only pray in desperation, we may still be heard, but we may not always feel steady enough to receive. And receiving is its own practice. It is the art of learning to be still long enough to hear what is already being spoken. And that requires something most of us were never taught: the ability to tell the difference between the noise and the knowing. Because there is always noise. The mind is a faithful servant to every fear we have ever carried, every wound that taught us to brace, every old story that learned to speak in a voice of wisdom without actually being wise. It is loud, it is familiar, and that familiarity, as we know it, can masquerade as truth. But underneath the noise, underneath that rehearsed worry and the inherited doubt, there's something quieter, something that doesn't rush, something that doesn't frighten or condemn or spiral. A connected spirit learns to recognize that voice. Not because the mind goes silent, it really does, but because the more we return to prayer and the more we practice sacred stillness, the more we begin to feel the difference. The mind chatters, the patterns defend, but the spirit simply knows. And that knowing has a different texture. It arrives without urgency. It does not demand, it does not shrink you. It steadies you. Even when what is offered is not what you expected to hear. This is why a practiced spirit receives differently. Now, let's talk about ceremony. Ceremony works in a similar way. When we hear the word ceremony, we may imagine something large, formal, or public. But ceremony does not have to be flashy to be sacred. Sometimes ceremony is a candle lit with intention. Sometimes it is a coffee shared in silence. Sometimes it is the hand held before you begin the day. Sometimes it is standing outside, breathing deeply, and giving thanks for one more morning. My husband and I have several small ceremonies we practice in our daily life. They are not grand and they are not performed for anyone. They are quiet, intentional, and done with love and care. And that is what makes them powerful. Ceremony is sacred repetition. It is the practice of returning to what matters before the world pulls you away from yourself. And like prayer, ceremony strengthens the spirit. It deepens our connection to ourselves, to the people we love, to God or Creator or the universe or whatever name that feels true for you. That we give time to becomes stronger. That we approach with love becomes more alive. What we practice with intention begins to shape us. This is why the smallest practices can hold the deepest meaning. A morning prayer, a quiet blessing, a moment of gratitude, a shared ritual with someone we love, a pause before reacting to an old wound, a breath taken before stepping into the day. These are not small things. They are ways of remembering. They are ways of returning. They are ways of telling the spirit you matter too. In a world that teaches us to care for the body, manage the mind, and regulate the emotions, we cannot forget the spiritual body. The spirit also needs tending and care. It needs space and devotion. It needs quiet practices that remind us that we are connected to something deeper than our circumstances. Prayer and ceremony do not remove every hardship, but they strengthen the part of us that knows how to walk through hardship with love still intact. They help us to become clearer, more grounded, more connected, more aligned, and more peaceful. Not because life becomes perfect, but because we are no longer moving through it disconnected from the sacred. Sometimes the most powerful spiritual practices are the ones no one ever sees. And maybe that is the beauty in them. They're not done for approval. They are done for connection. They are done for love. They are done because something within us remembers that the spirit must be nourished too. I hope this episode finds you in a tender, open place. I hope it gives you permission, if you need it, to return to the practices that make you feel less alone and more yourself. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. If this episode moved something in you, share it with a woman who might need to hear it. And if you're ready to go deeper, to return to your career, your calling, or to start over again, visit thrivebydesignwomen.com or find me on Instagram or TikTok at Thrive by Design Women. The return is also your invitation when you're ready to come home.